Hello and welcome back to Free Dad Raid Shadow Legends free to play for 2024, day 16. The Fragment event has kicked off as of earlier this morning, so we've been grinding away trying to utilize our resources the best that we can. But I wanted to talk about how we think we are going to be able to get there. So if you pull up resources such as hellhades.com, you'll want to go to their main site and then you just you scroll down. It's going to be one of their featured articles whenever you do have a fusion. So like, look at the fusion guide here. So it is going to give the full story guide about the champion if you'd like to. It's going to give you all of the information, the stats that the champion has, and then it will give you a different kind of summary of the event that we'll be able to do, like the super raids with it. You'll be able to put in your shards if you have a certain amount. So you'll be able to see, hey, what kind. So, like for us, we have 3, 1, and 1. So 680. It says you currently have 680 out of the 3,500 points for the summoner event. So it is incredibly low. So that doesn't look like our chances will be very good on the summoner event. That can kind of give you an idea on how to really pace it. And then it breaks it up into what you should be doing each day. So today it talks about the Dungeon Divers events. You get 5 fragments, the Dragon Tournament, and then the Champion Chase. These all start. And then on Friday, it'll be the Summoner Rush event. And then you'll see the rest of them kick off. And then it's going to have this calendar down here. So with this calendar, let's see if we can just click it. There we go. So this is going to be all of the events, when they run, for how long that they run, and then how many fragments. So before we talked about, there's going to be a total of 135. 20 of those are going to be from leaderboards. We do not even expect to get those, so just forget about those in the first place. It's really going to be 115. So if it is more than 100, you want to look how much more typically. And for this example, it's going to be 15 more than 100. Some of the hardest events that are really stopping points for a lot of accounts are the shard pools. So we have a summoner chase, and then we have a champion chase tournament. The champion chase tournament does seem to be the easier out of the two because that is just getting champions of certain rarities. It doesn't have anything to do with pulling them. So we can go ahead and get our fusion ones that we've been going for. And it's the second one. So it's going to allow us more time to save up those different resources to obtain this. So right now I'm looking at this going, I'm probably going to skip the summon rush, but they have 15 points. So sometimes it breaks up into 5 and then 10. So when it does that, we look to see, hey, how low is this 5? And then let's see if we can maybe obtain that. Because right now on our account, we're going to run into a couple different issues that we'll kind of highlight. We'll just go through this path as an early game free-to-play player. So you have Champion Training Tournament. It's a longer one. It's going to allow us a lot more time to do all our farming. I don't have any issues with this one. I don't foresee any issues with this one. We have another one down here. We'll talk about that later. This is going to go in hand with Dragon Tournament. So typically Dragon Tournament, if you can farm level 20, you want to farm that stage. If you cannot farm stage 20, the best point ratio is actually stage 3. The unfortunate part, we're not going to get any gear that's going to be worth anything on stage 3. So I typically float around whatever stage it transitions from 12 energy to 14 energy because you're still able to get 4 to 5 star equipment or gear, and we really need gear right now. That's good 5-star gear that's going to have good step stats, so we're able to kind of double dip in that situation. And then for Dragon especially, we're actually able to do champion training along because we can 2-man it with the Monkey King and Kale. So we're able to put 3 pieces of food in there, and then that's going to be right in hand with Dungeon Divers. So I will tell you right now, we will find out very, very early on if we are going to be able to get this fusion or not. Dungeon Divers to me is one of the hardest events. It is very time consuming. It runs for the shorter amount of times. It is a constant grind. For example, we'll be able to get done most likely with all of this dragon tournament and only be able to do half of these dungeon diver points. They suck. And look at this. One, two, three of them. So there's three of them that are going to be really incredibly heavy on energy. It would be really nice to be able to get five of our summons down here so we can skip one of these. So that way we can kind of focus on some other things. When it comes to our artifact one that starts right after our summons, this is going to be harder, but not as hard as this one and this one. So there's also three of these artifact enhancements. Typically, they say you need about 15 million silver to complete each of these. We're not going to have 15 million silver to complete each of these. We are going to have to get very creative when it comes to this, but this will be the second hurdle because classic arena takedown, all you have to do is do your battles. Ice Golem tournament, I'm not worried about that one. There is a little overlap with Dungeon Divers, so as of Sunday when this one starts, I will not be doing any of that, and I will not be doing any of it until this Dungeon Divers starts, so we can kind of double dip our points, utilize our energy. We want to use all our energy so it continuously refills. So during this first little time, we only have this artifact and the summon rush available. I'll be farming campaign. The reason I'm going to be farming campaign is I will most likely be finishing the rest of this champion training. And then we are also going to get those champions so we can fuse our epic champion that we want to at least fuse 2 to 3 times to get 750 points. So we'll have that longer period before something else starts out. The Dungeon Divers will give us points from campaign, so that's going to be nice. And then we'll be able to start Fire Night, so hopefully we'll be able to finish the rest of the Dungeon Divers for Fire Night where that is going, and be able to upgrade some of the gear that we're going to get from Fire Night. We do not have the greatest of teams for Fire Night, which is unfortunate because if we could even 3 or 4 man team this, we can put in food. But you have this other champion training one. It is a longer champion training one, which will be pretty nice. So hopefully we can get done with Fire Night relatively quick and then use the rest of our energy for this champion training. But it is going to be a little hard. I know there's a lot of stuff out there that says, hey, we do only have 315 and you have the summon rush and this, so you can skip one of the summons, so it's an easier fusion or fragment to go for. Really looking at this when it comes to the time that you're going to be spending and the different places that you want to spend, this one I feel like is going to be a heavier resource one because most people are already counting these out, so you do have to collect all of these. On my main one, I will be going for the summon rush. I will also be going for the champion chase. I will most likely not be doing any of these dungeon divers, so that's going to be the 15 points there. They're just too time consuming when it comes down to it, and it's something that I do not want to take a lot of time just clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking. So when it comes to the rest of them, we talked about the champion chase. We're going to be using basically our fusion and fragment ones from before. Classic arena takedown, we're not too worried about that. That lines up with the dungeon diver, so unfortunately no double dipping, but we're going to start this early on. We can't unfortunately start it win the Spiders tournament because we're going to run out of silver. You get a certain amount of silver we're going to run out of energy, and you get a certain amount of energy every day that we really want to utilize. As you can tell right now, my energy is almost never going to be full throughout the day because I will be constantly jumping on, doing a couple quick battles, and then waiting. We do have a decent amount of gems, and all of these gems will most likely go to energy refills. We are incredibly low when it comes to silver, so we're just kind of been busting out to get those 15 level gear, but we're not going to have probably enough gear to upgrade. So when we look at this as a whole, it is going to be very, very, very hard. But I also look at this and I go, hey, I'm up for a little challenge. I think she's going to be really great for the free account. I think with her damage ramping up, the lower her HP goes, it's going to be really good for some of our teams that we're going to be able to do because we're not going to be able to keep her at full health most of the time. She's not going to be topped off. she's going to be lower when she most likely hits, and hopefully she's going to have some survivability with that passive that she's not going to be able to get one shot every 4 turns. So I do think if we build enough speed into her, we're going to be in a good position. So that is going to be our Fragment event calendar. So when we look at those events right now, how we are doing, so if we pull up our tournaments, so we have our champion training tournament. The nice part with this one, you can use skill tones. So we did actually use some skill tones, and I'll show you which ones we used those on before. They did not give me as many points as I wanted to, but we still do have, I think, 5 legendary skill tones. I don't know if we want to put in the Monkey King or not yet. So we've kind of been holding off on that as a last minute push to get us up to that point. So we're sitting right at about a fourth of the way done, and a little over, what would this be? A little over a couple hours. I don't remember even when this one started, but it'll be a little over a couple hours. We're grinding into this one. They are pretty high when before we looked at, hey, if we're a lower level below 50 versus my level 100 account, I think the point total is 5100. So there's not much of a difference, which really kind of sucks. And it's going to make this a lot harder. And then we also have these two up here that would be really good points for us. And you never know what's going to be behind one of those. So we're kind of unsure on what we're going to do. We have a nice little soul stone here, which we'll be able to pull for our soul chase tournament. When it comes to that, we're sitting pretty comfortably in second place. I'm guessing this person just ran out of them. They pulled all theirs. They did not get as lucky. So hopefully we'll able to get that soul stone and get a decent one to kind of bump us up here so we can kind of lock into one of these and get a legendary skill tone. Our dungeon tournament, we've been farming that level 12, and so we're what, a third of the way almost done. So we're a little bit over a third of the way. So we'll want to remember that. We have 2 days left, and then if we go to our events, which is our dungeon divers, we are 600 in and we need 33. So we're a third of the way. We're not even like a fifth of the way through on the dungeon divers. So they're incredibly hard for whatever reason. I think the point total might even be the same, 6744. 659. So they're almost the same. I know we did some campaign for our quest down here. We have an energy refill, but we're really just waiting for this to be as low as possible and then let that overfill overnight, and then we'll gather that because we're not going to have any here. We're still doing our quest. Thankfully, this one, we should be able to complete all of them to get another energy refill. Last time we couldn't because we couldn't defeat a faction war boss. Um, but this time that is not on here. The only one is going to be what team that's higher team power than you are. So that might be a little bit more difficult. We did pick up one more ancient shard. So now we're at 3, and that was from the market here. So we're continuously checking the market. I think that's going to be kind of everything for the update today. It's going to be a shorter one. It's really all about grinding that dragon right now, just getting those points, getting those champions leveled. And unfortunately, like, we're starting to run out of champions to upgrade. It it kind of sucks because we can't upgrade their stars because we can't sacrifice some of them because we're saving some of these. So we don't have champions really to level up right now, but we need to make sure we get dungeons done. We'll get more champions to upgrade once we get to campaign because we'll be able to earn champions from the campaign. And obviously, like, when we pull more, so that's kind of what's pulling on me to pull when it comes to the summon rushes. We don't have the champions that need to be upgraded. I'll pull up the roster after this and you can kind of see what kind of needs to be upgraded next. But we're running out of options. And I know we have our daily where we have to pull 3 of them, but we're upgrading those 3. And we really can't get anything upgraded outside of that. So let's go ahead and pull this up. So all of these are maxed. all of these are maxed. She will quickly be maxed, and then this person can, this person can. So we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have about 10 there. We're not throwing any into this yet. So I guess we have a decent amount, but like our whole bottom row is pretty much maxed out. And we really want to start leveling these up so we can get to more of our 4 and 5 star food. So right now we have two of our champions that are going to be our food for our next 60, ready to rock, getting up to 5. We just need 4 chickens essentially for them. So we need 8 chickens here, but we're not going to be doing that yet. So we're not going to get the big 60-point bonus, which does kind of, it's going to put a little bit of damper on us because I think we can kind of push through a little bit of these to help us out, but there's nothing that's going to jump out in here besides this energy and then maybe some silver that's going to be able to help us in this fragment more than those champions to fuse into Relic Keeper. I might be wrong, so if I am wrong, please let me know. I'd love to hear your opinions on the thought, because if we are going to go that way, I think we would be able to get a level 60 champion here in not too long. And if we cannot get to this Dungeon Divers, we will be going and we'll just work on our urban missions and we'll just watch everybody else as they go for this champion and wish them the best of luck. That's going to be it for today's video. Check in tomorrow to see where the summon rush or the summon chase came in at for a point total, and we'll make a decision from there. Thank you all for watching. I wish you the best of luck, and we will catch you in the next one.